I'm doing a video on dread discrimination, which was requested like 2 months ago by Melissa Menchaca. I think that's how you pronounce it, and I feel really bad because it's been 2 months, so I'm sorry, Melissa, if you're watching this. It took me forever. But I feel like this is an incredibly appropriate day to do this because I just got a job yesterday. It's a seasonal job at a candy shop called Franco's, which is in this really nice movie theater area that opened up in the past few years by my house. And I think it's interesting because I know a lot of people think that dreads in the workforce are controversial or something, and I get that. I think definitely with some more professional careers that people aren't really going to understand your decision of why you're doing dreads, and as I'll talk about later, people kind of sorry, my paper's flying away. People kind of assume you're unclean and stuff, but at the place where I'm working, it's also it's owned by the same company that owns this place called Quirk World, which, if you guys know what that is, it's really just they sell zombie t-shirts and workaholic stuff, and they sell stuff with penises on it, and apparently they sell Obama toilet paper and just weird stuff really can't find anywhere else, and weird birthday cards. My friends just got me vegan socks and zombie socks from there, just as an example. And so and I noticed when I was applying that the other people who work there have cool hair, and it's all pixie cuts and bright red and blue, and so I figured it wouldn't be an issue, and it wasn't. I got the job, the interview went well, and I think they liked that I had experience with children. I babysit and nanny a lot, and they liked that because it's a candy shop, so a lot of kids are going to be coming in, and so yeah, that's the first job I've ever gotten. The first interview I've gone on since I got my dreads, and I didn't think it was they got in the way of getting the job, obviously, because I think Franco's and Quirk World and Whole Foods is one place I've seen a person working with dreads. Freebird's World Burritos is another place I've seen someone working with dreads. I know even, sorry, that's the paper. I know even someone who works at Starbucks who has dreads, and he got it through he got his job through family connections too. So I think it just kind of depends where you're applying, and I think for the places that I mentioned, they're kind of into the alternative things, so it kind of appeals to them and to their demographic, and so yeah, those places I don't think you'll have such a hard time getting hired. Maybe at other places like Pinkberry, where they want you to be clean cut, it might be a different story, or some fancy restaurants, but I see no harm in trying, and if you don't get the job, or if they say that it's because of your dreads, I think dreads are worth waiting to find trying to find a job that will accept them, because there are jobs out there that will. And so that was an oddly long intro, so here are some of the, I'm gonna talk about some of the cons of having dreads, and how people discriminate, and let's see, people like I said, it can keep you from getting a job. Sometimes I know one YouTuber, I forget her name, she had a problem. Someone actually told her she couldn't keep her dreads if she wanted to work there, and I think that's shitty, but it happens. And people assume you don't shower. I was actually talking to this guy who I met for a few days, and on the third day we had known each other, he's so you don't wash your hair? And I thought it was kind of cool. He was hanging out with me even though he thought I haven't washed my hair in 6 months, so that's interesting. But I wash my hair, and most people with dreads also wash their hair. It's just an assumption. We gotta get the record straight, all you fellow dreadheads. Just go around screaming, I wash my dreads! And maybe people will get the message then. God, this paper's so annoying. That's why I don't normally write on paper. Anyway, people assume you do drugs. My dad apparently thinks all dreadheads do drugs. they don't. But, you know, people go right on thinking that. And, I've had, like, 2 different guys, like, approach me on Facebook and be like, your dreads are so cool, and one of them was like, we should be friends. And I don't know how I feel about that, because, like, I consider myself fairly outgoing. Like, if you try to talk to me in person, like, I will totally have a conversation with you, and yeah, I'll totally be your friend, because that's cool, but he was, like, saying, we were talking about weed, because I was smoking weed at that point, kind of ironic, considering my last point, but I'm not smoking weed anymore, so whatever. And, so he was like, yeah, we should, like, smoke together sometime, and I just said, I am trying not to get sketched out right now. I actually said something like this to him. I was like, I'm trying not to get sketched out right now, but, I mean, you're some guy, like, over the internet, who's asking me to hang out and do drugs with him, and I've never met him before. So, I deleted my Facebook anyway, like, a month ago, I don't know, which was, like, about a month after that happened. It wasn't because of that, it was other reasons, but I don't have to deal with those problems anymore. And I don't know, maybe some people don't consider it a problem, maybe you're fine meeting people over the internet. And for me, it's not so much, like, the worst case scenarios, like, what could happen, like, you could get axe murdered in the woods or something. It's more, I just don't want technology to play that big a part in who I know and don't know. I just don't like building a relationship with someone through a computer, so I'm not gonna, like, meet that person in person when I don't really know them, because people just aren't the same in person as they are, like, on the computer. I don't know. So that was annoying. Now for the pros, those are all the cons that I could list, like, right before I did this video. And so some jobs don't mind and are attracted to the look of them, like I explained, Freebirds, Whole Foods, I think even Trader Joe's would go for that. And yeah. I'm gonna ask my boss if I'm allowed to wear my dreads down at work. I have to ask about the dress code when I go into work on Tuesday. Oh yeah, another thing, I just turned 18, which is why I was able to get that job. They only hire 18-year-olds because they sell things with penises on them. I turned 18 on Monday, so that's pretty cool. Totally off topic. Another pro is it makes me think about the discrimination that I hold towards other people. And it's like, one example is, I was taking my senior pictures, and this girl turns to me, and she's like, how long have you had your dreads? And I was like, oh, like 6 months, and, she's like, they look really good, and I'm like, thanks, I like them a lot. And then, like, we were just quiet for a few seconds, and I said, do you, like, know someone who has dreads or something? And her hair was, like, straight, so I hadn't seen them, but she had some underneath, and she's like, yeah, I have them, I got them, like, a few weeks ago. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I noticed this, like, over-enthusiasticness once I found out that she had dreads, which I think is fine on some level, because, like, I think dreads are great, and I think it's great when people have them. But I feel like it's kind of, like, at the same time, unfair of me to get more excited, and it was kind of like this, like, thing went off in my head where I'm like, wow, she's really cool, she has dreads, and it's like, I shouldn't make that assumption about anyone based on whether they do or do not have dreads, because not all people who have dreads are cool, and not all people who are cool have dreads. So, it makes me think about those things. Also, it makes me, like, think about, I'll be, like, walking through the store, and for some reason I'll feel like typically, like, the older people are judging me, like, people past, say, like, 40s and stuff, and, just thinking I'm, like, a radical teenager, rebel, I don't know, whatever. And, that's not fair of me to assume that either, that old people are going to judge me because of my dreads. I'm the one being judgmental. I'm judging people by thinking that they're judging me based on my hair. And so, that's another side of, like, dread discrimination that I don't think people really think about. A lot of people understand that, like, employers don't really favor it for the most part, but they don't think about, dread discrimination in themselves, and so I think that's an important thing to think about, next time you, notice yourself, like, looking at someone who has dreads and being like, oh, like, I really want to meet them, they seem super awesome, or, you see someone who, like, doesn't have dreads, and you're like, they're not that cool. I mean, I don't know if anyone really does that, but, you know, it's just something to think about, I think. And, you know, it kind of bothers me in a sense that someone, if they have dreads, becomes, like, instantly more appealing to me. But maybe that's normal, because we have something in common. You know, it's kind of like when I find out that someone plays lacrosse, and I'm like, oh, you play lacrosse, I play lacrosse, oh my god, we should be best friends, you know? And it's not like I really think people who don't play lacrosse are any less cool, so maybe it's the same kind of thing. I'd like to hear you guys' opinions if you want to do a video response or comment or anything like that. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great weekend and Thanksgiving break and all that jazz.